This is part 3 in our series on analyzing data using Microsoft Excel. In this part, we're going to be generating the predicted values given a best fit line or a trend line. Let me just move our scatter plot, and we'll create a new column called predicted values. Notice that we can double click right here and the column automatically gets to be the right size. We notice that our equation of our best fit line or trend line is over here, y equals 1.1493x plus 55.7913, a linear equation. A predicted value is simply the value that you would get when you substitute an x value into the equation. In our case, it would be the length of the radius bone in a person's body. It will generate a predicted value, not the actual value. Our actual value is actually are these data points. So, for example, let's say the radius bone is 7.9 inches. In actuality, the height of the person we measured was 61 inches. According to our equation, we would have to figure out by substituting 7.9 for x into our equation, we would find out what the predicted value is. To do this in Microsoft Excel, we put click over there and we put an equal sign to indicate to Excel this is a formula. And now we start writing our equation, which is 1.1493x. Now we don't put x here. Instead, we put the cell address that contains the x value, and that is where this 7.9 is, which, as you notice, is in D5. So what we're simply going to do is multiply that number times D5. We use the asterisk for times, and it doesn't have to be capitalized. It can be lowercase, either way, D5. And then we want to add 55.7913. If I hit the enter sign, you notice a value appears. So the predicted height of the person whose radius bone is 7.9 inches is 64.87 inches. Notice that's a little bit off from what the actual person's height was. And let's face it, any best fit line is simply an estimated value and an estimated prediction. It certainly can't give you the exact values because, as you notice, our data points, although they're somewhat linear, they're not actually totally linear. In order to do this for the entire column, we certainly don't want to keep repeating this. Instead, we'll do what's called a fill down. We simply highlight our formula in F5 and highlight all the way down to the bottom of this column. And then we go up, make sure the Home tab is clicked. We go all the way over to the right side in the Editing tab, and notice there's a fill. We click on Fill. And this time we want to fill down since we're going down. And notice the values all get filled out. You might also notice our first equation is correct. It was our equation using D5. But if you notice in the next cell down, it's actually using the x value that's in D6, which is correct, which would be a 12. The next one would be using the same formula, but for D7, which is a 12.9. And so on and so forth. The next one, it has D8, which is our 12. The one previous I said was 12 was actually 12.9. And it continues on all the way down, and it's totally generated the predicted values by substituting the x values into our best fit equation.